signaling is correct. We also know that cancer cells love blood. They want angiogenesis. They want access to resources and nutrients, right? We also know that they're really good at evading growth suppressors. So we have things like tumor suppressor genes that help make sure that a normal cell cycle is being followed. And if there are, normal growth suppressors, cancer cells are able to just say, nope, I'm not going to pay attention to that, and I'm going to keep going. And this actually becomes really important when we talk about checkpoint inhibitors, right? Because you think about almost like military blockades being set up to stop cells from rapidly dividing or growing the way they're not supposed to. So cancer cells will evade growth suppressors. This last one, resisting transformation, that's not right? Because cells that are mutated or going through an abnormal growth process, they don't want to resist transformation. They want to transform, because once they've transformed, they're able to continue to survive in maybe what would otherwise be an inhospitable environment. So does anybody have any questions about that first question? Okay, awesome. Now this next one, I think probably people are going to have some questions about. So regulation of normal cell growth can be facilitated through suppression of TP53 after exposure to human papillomavirus, activation of an oncogene to overexpress the ERBB gene product, activation of TP53 after exposure to Epstein-Barr virus, or mutation of a proto-oncogene after exposure to chemotherapy. Now, this may seem really confusing, but I promise you, if you just take a step back, and let's talk about TP53. So TP53, which I think Dr. Shenoy covered maybe a little bit last semester, is a gene that codes for P53, which is a really good tumor suppressor gene. So we know that a normal growth cell needs to have an active tumor suppressor available, right? Without it, the tumor can, or the cells can subvert the normal growth cycle. So we know that if we suppress it, that's bad, right? Because if you suppress, it's like a double negative. If you suppress a tumor suppressor gene, then you're allowing growth to proceed. Does that make sense? Okay. If you activate an oncogene, that's also bad, right? Because activating an oncogene allows them to overexpress products that could enable cells to continue to divide and grow. Does that make sense? Okay. Activation of TP53 after exposure to Epstein-Barr virus. So one of the things we know about Epstein-Barr virus, and I kind of talked a little bit about this, it's a lot like human papillomavirus in the sense that we know that there are certain cancers associated with those viruses, right? So we have a vaccine for HPV, which is great. And that specific vaccine helps to prevent some of the more virulent strains of HPV, which can lead to things like cervical cancer and head and neck cancer. And then we know that if we activate TP53, that's good, because that's actually a tumor suppressor, right? So we want to activate TP53. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, if you have a mutation of a proto-oncogene, so proto-oncogenes are like the good version of an oncogene, right? They're like able to help make sure that the cell stays in check. If you mutate that, then it turns into an oncogene, which is bad. Okay? So I'm sure you probably saw this and you're like, wait, mutation of a proto-oncogene after exposure to chemotherapy, that should be good, right? It's not good. Because one of the things that we know based on tomorrow's lecture is that there are a number of anti-neoplastic drugs, so there are chemotherapeutic agents that actually can cause cancer, can cause delayed cancers after a couple of years, right? So I think I don't remember when I talked about this, but Do any of you remember Robin Roberts? Does that name ring a bell? She's, yeah, you're probably too young to remember her. But she was on, like, I think, Good Morning America or something like that. Anyway, she had breast cancer, and it was very early stage. She had to have chemotherapy, and about 2 years after the chemotherapy, she developed something called myelodysplastic syndrome, or MDS. And it's because her bone marrow was damaged because she was exposed to chemotherapy. So we know that, unfortunately, although chemotherapy is really good at killing off malignant cells, it's also really good for potentially causing mutations that can cause cancers later on. Because what ends up happening with patients is when they're exposed to something, it usually takes multiple cycles of mutations before those mutations are actually able to survive and then proliferate. So it can take a few years before cancer develops. That's why, it's kind of unusual for someone to be exposed, like, let's say someone's smoking. You can smoke, like chain smoke for a month, but you don't get cancer right away, right? It takes time to build up these mutations because your immune system is really good at, kind of surveillance and making sure that your body is getting rid of these bad cells. So does that make sense? And the next one. Okay, and forgive me if because my screen is kind of truncated, if I don't see hand raised, just feel free to message me.